Okay, dear followers, today I have a very interesting guest here in this moment, here right now, Sabin Muresan. My name is Uroš Ferlin, and today we will explore the quantum leadership. And let's just start and we will see how it goes. So how are you, Sabine?
I'm good and grateful, Uroš, for inviting me and for having this conversation, for opening this space. So I'm extending my greetings and my heart and my mind to everyone watching. And I'm very curious at the same time of what this space will make possible for us to talk about and to create. Let's dive in.
Yeah, I'm also curious and I'm very happy at the same time. So, Sabine let me introduce you in a couple of words.
Sure.
Sabine is strategic people and organizational development conflict transformation consultant with almost 25 years of experience, international experience. And you've been to across Europe, Africa, and Middle East, including the post-war conflict zones like Sudan, Philippines, Moldova, Iraq, Burundi.
Mhm.
So you have a lot of experience, and how how I perceive you and what is the feeling when I talk to you, that you actually in a way present this peacefulness, conflict resolution, clarity. So my personal experience with you is I always release something and I'm more present and more in peace. And obviously, I wrote from the document you sent me, I found out that you are also heart mat trainer, life coach, especially dedicated to the peace and conflict transformation uh, in organizations. What this interacting and dealing with the peace means to you?
Mhm. I was listening to the words you were saying to describe me and realizing that um, I'm still discovering myself. I'm still discovering who I am and what I am every day. And at the same time, it is true that for the past 30 years, more or less, I've been involved in organizations and communities and working with people and um, genuinely curious in understanding peace and conflict, understanding how do we create a life as human beings, which is on one hand can seem with a lot of tension, a lot of violence, and I'm talking economically, militarily, socially, um, different types of violence and tension and negative conflicts that we see in the world and in our communities and lives. And at the same time, we have the capacity as human beings to support each other in a compassionate way, to be kind, to be loving, to be creative in a constructive and in a positive way.
Mm.
Um, So I'm somewhere in the middle of all of this, um, living as what I am in the midst of all of this. As someone was describing, an artist of the invisible or the mystery of life, um, both as an art and very concrete, very pragmatic when working with organizations, with leaders, with groups. An art because there's a lot of unknown for me every single day in terms of what life is bringing to me and to us as human beings and to us as a planet. And at the same time, there's a lot of practicalities in terms of emotions, relationships, actions we need to do and we want to do, projects that we have. So how to combine all of this in a harmonious manner? What are these elements? And I'm bringing these open questions, like what are these elements that will help me and us cope with these times of really fast and quickly and radical changes and uncertainty, and a lot of technology that is present more and more in our lives. So perhaps peace and conflict is now being shaped in my life by all of this external environment and anchored, or they found it peace and conflict, um, or conflict transformation, let's say. I find an intimate connection with them, an intimate relation with them since I've known myself since I was a kid. It's like an inner garden,
Mm.
inner garden where peace and the transformation of conflicts and cooperation and harmony and just being able to live together as humans and also with other beings on this planet in a harmonious way, it is real.
Mm.
And this inner garden is what is nourishing me uh, every single day. And it's there regardless of what's outside, and it's there regardless of my age. And it was there when I was in my teens and in my 20s and 30s and so on. And now I'm close to turning 50, and this garden is still there. And throughout my life, I've gathered different tools, like you mentioned, some of them, different tools that I can use to tend to these beautiful trees and plants and animals that are there. At the same time, there's this core of being, um, that is guiding me forward, and that brought me to meet you and to be able to have this conversation. Yeah, so I guess it's a rather long answer, and still, I think it's a complete answer as a start of our conversation.
Mm. You mentioned young Sabine. Who was who was that kid? What was he like?
Um, he was, and to a certain extent, it still is playful and creative, loving music, loving nature, loving writing, poetry, and different things, scribbling, um, loving free movement in nature. And I still
Mm.
do a lot of rock climbing and hiking and skiing and mountain biking. So combination of spending time in nature, um, with arts, with creativity, and with beautiful people, with family, with friends, with communities, groups, organizations. Understanding that, at least from my perspective, life here on earth is meant to be lived together. Yeah.
Mm. During the period of growing up, what do you think this kid Sabine forgot? What was the best challenges for him in regarding to the peace and conflicts and relationships? What
Mm.
was the let's say the struggle, the pain?
The part of the struggle, the challenge, the pain, or the journey, and this can be hero's journey or another well-known type of journey, was that I thought for many years that I should only focus on the beautiful side, on the pleasure, on the joy, on the beauties of life. And I was avoiding conflict for many years.
Mm.
I was avoiding pain, avoiding the darkness, avoiding deep emotions, and didn't understand and couldn't see the so-called traumas of the childhood, where my younger self was coping by creating different stories and identities about what was happening around, which later on I carried on as different types of hurts and traumas. So that was part of the journey to learn how to embrace all the aspects, both the shadow and the light, both the negative conflict and my own traits and trends of violence and aggressiveness, and the positive side of conflicts and the opportunity and yeah, the calmness and the light at the same time.
Mm. It was, I remember once you, not a very long time ago, in one of the conversations we had, you mentioned about your inner conflict, that
Mm.
you, what was the, let's say, the turning point in your life facing the conflict inside you. Can you tell a little bit more about that? So what was your turning point?
Mm. For about 10 years or more, I was learning and working directly in so-called post-war zones or post-violent conflict, armed conflict zones. Um, Supporting different communities, organizations to transform their conflicts in a positive, in a constructive way. So basically not to return to genocides or to massive collective violence, but to create different types of education, like peace education and mediation, negotiation, um, communities that would deal with conflict, with empathy, with nonviolence, with creativity. And in this process, I was slowly realizing that what I'm trying to transform and stop even outside, so this violence outside in places like you mentioned, Sudan, Burundi, Iraq, the Philippines, and others, um, were mirroring and matching some inner conflicts that I was not aware of fully. But I felt there is a um, interdependence. And later on, I found out that one universal law says that, as within, as without, what I see and bothers me outside is basically a mirroring aspects of myself that need to be integrated. So slowly I understood that my presence and my work as a peace worker, as a peace builder, was having a dual part, was part of a dualistic paradigm. And the more I was working for peace and wanting to see only um, peace, the more I could see what within me was basically causing causing that. So, for example, anger and aggressiveness and lack of patience, um, sometimes misogyny, sometimes sexism or racism or arrogance, and yeah, a few other traits that I was not aware of and were basically mirrored by what I was seeing outside.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think this aggressiveness and conflict that happens inside us is some kind of response to different feelings or, yeah, emotional states of the person? For example, fear, shame, this very intense grief. So there is a whole spectrum of emotions that happen
Mm.
inside us, inside me, when I don't feel good. And it's, do you think that this aggressiveness or sometimes ignorance, sometimes fight, sometimes like cutting away or disappearing, like running away, different reactions, but what would you say it's the core, it's the, yeah, the core of this aggressiveness and conflict that happens inside?
Mm.
Would you say it's emotions or it's some kind of traumas that you mentioned based on the emotions?
I see emotions as a more or less automatic response, a default response to what's happening outside, to different stimuli. So, for example, if someone is shouting at me or um, treating me in a way that I feel, actually, it's not a feeling, but I judge, I think this is disrespectful towards me,
Mm,
then um, and this can trigger a response of aggression, of defending myself, of anger, and this can be a natural reaction. And from here, I think there's two ways. If my learned and experienced reaction is that in this case, if someone is disrespectful towards me, I'm used to react from a trauma uh, base perspective. That means I can either snap at that person, I can attack, be aggressive, I can freeze, so I can fight, I can freeze, or I can flight, I can run away as three, let's say, key or main ways of responding to from a traumatic perspective. But at the same time, if in the same situation, the same context, if I'm aware of this very powerful energy of anger or of fear at the same time, I know, and this is what we're working with men groups and doing the inner work we do in men's groups. In my case, for the past 10 years or more, this is where I learned how to use the different strong emotions like fear or anger as catalysts and as guide lights and guidelines. So,
Some
for
kind
example,
of gateway, let's
yeah,
say. Yeah.
yeah, and to identify the feeling, because in my experience, the the reaction is automatic.
Mm.
So there's a stimuli from outside. There's a trigger. The reaction in terms of sensation, feeling, thought is very quick and it's automatic. So what I'm doing now, to the best of my abilities, is to create some space before I react, to
Oh,
breathe
yeah.
in, to breathe in inside, to withdraw if I need, but not to run away or not to freeze as I was used to respond to a negative conflict, but to breathe in and make some space um, that will give myself the opportunity to decide how to act instead of just reacting
Mm.
automatically. So how to consciously act to the best of my abilities in that moment. And for example, I know that anger brings into my body, so this emotion brings the awareness in my hands, my legs, my voice, my chest. It's like this connecting me to the element of fire, of action, of what we call the archetype of the warrior. And instead of destroying and fighting or running away, to set clear limits and boundaries that would respond to my needs for the moment, and also perhaps for the needs of my family or friends or the group of the people or the community I am in.
Mm.
So turning this huge energy of anger, of fire, into something constructive, into setting a clear boundary and staying connected with that person or with that situation,
Mm.
with an open mind, an open heart, and also a body that is prepared to explore solutions that are good for everyone as much as possible.
Mm. Yeah, when we are ready and open to wait a little bit, like you said, to pause,
Mm.
to stop for a moment, then something new opens, some new
Yeah.
space opens, and there is an opportunity to. It's more options, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, great, great. So one of the purposes that we have this conversation today is also uh, quantum leadership
Yeah.
thematic, and this is one of the topic that it's really on the spot, because I think leadership at the moment is a little bit in a crisis, or let's say in this transition period from the
Mhm.
old to new. Everybody is asking, what is new? What is new
Mhm.
leadership?
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
is going on? Who is this leader? She or he? who will be able to adopt all these new technologies and interruptions and time management limits and, like you said, conflicts, that we are not running away from it, but we stand there and we see things clearly and are able to stop and to be aware of what's happening, to being present. And what is quantum leader? What is quantum leadership for you?
I like this last part, for me, for you, because what is quantum leader? If this would be the question, I have no idea. What is quantum leadership for me?
Yeah.
It's a process, it's a verb, it's an unfolding journey.
Mm.
And honestly, I'm using these words quantum leadership just because it needs a definition. It needs some words. Um, because I know that these words can be debatable, can be approached from an analytical point of view, and that there would be so many other people saying, but this is not, has nothing to do with quantum, has nothing to do with leadership. This is, other people are using it in different ways. So what I know and I feel is the way I define it, and again, it's a process, it's a journey, it's a verb. And it has a few elements, a few components. For example, connecting it with transforming conflicts, approaching this. One very important tool that I learned in what means conflict transformation is to create more options, always. To have a broad um, range of options. Instead of there's no alternative, or you either do A or B. There is no C, there is no D, there's no, there's no other option. And that creates more conflicts. That's why in that aspect, conflict resolution, conflict management is important. But conflict management or leadership management tends to be linear, tends to be reductionist.
Mhm.
Yeah, tends to be, to simplify things to the point of reducing it to A or B. There's no alternative. You're either with us or against us. This creates a
Mm.
lot of conflicts.
Tension.
Tension. So for me, transformation, transcendence has a very quantum-like essence because it's about creating options. It's about potential. It's about something we don't know. It's about uncertainty and going within this field of potentiality with curiosity, with creativity, with staying perhaps in a team or a business or an organization, staying with these open questions, perhaps for a few weeks or even months, like where do we go from here? How to integrate technology and biology in an harmonious and balanced way? This kind of questions. So one element of this quantum leadership would be exploring potentiality and creating um, a bunch of options, a variety of options for any problem. Another one is to think in terms of systems, ecosystems, um, in terms of interdependency, interconnectivity, to see how one thing, it's not a linear cause and effect.
Mm.
It's not a mechanism. It's not a machine, an organization, a community. A human body is not a machine. It's not something to be fixed. So yeah, if a leader or a manager would approach us to say, "Hey, come and fix my organization. I have this problem," we would come with the toolbox and say, "Yes, you do one team building, you do 3 months of consultancy, one-on-one coaching, all of this with a checkbox, and when we tick all the boxes, then you're done. You're just like a car being able to run again. It doesn't work like that.
Mm,
So it's about understanding the systems. And um, in my work and in my life, I get a lot of inspiration from nature, directly in nature.
mm,
So going myself, family, friends, but also people I work with, organizations, groups, leaders outside in the forest, on the mountain, and learning from being out there because we are part of nature. We are not disconnected. It's just, it's a, I would say it's an illusion that creates problems and sickness in the society to think and yeah, to say that we are disconnected and nature is something else outside. No, we are fully part of nature. So understanding this would bring inspiration, would
mm,
bring would bring relaxation, would bring an access to intuition, and that means connecting ourselves to a broader wisdom of life, and that's where solutions are exactly. So the solutions, the broader range of solutions comes from the collective wisdom of life, which means humans and nowadays non-humans like technology, and also the trees, the plants, the birds, the animals, the movement of the sun and the moon and the waves and the weather and so on. And here we can get inspired by the work of people like Rudolf Steiner and Goethe and then other people who explored patterns of life and interconnectivity and the importance of biology in everything we do. So this would be 2, 3 elements
mm.
um, of quantum leadership. And perhaps a third one from 5, 6 of them, which for me would be the basics, would be embracing uncertainty and adapting constantly and being resilient and finding relaxation and comfort in discomfort.
Mm.
Relaxation, not in a um, careless way. I don't care about this, I'm
Yeah.
just laid back, not in this perspective, but relaxing the nervous system, relaxing the body, relaxing the biology, learning how to breathe properly, learning how to get the heart and the brain into physical coherence, knowing that that will regulate the whole emotional system, nervous system, our relationships, will give us better access to the intuition as a field of non-local information, and will activate our collective wisdom. Also, therefore, a better life for all of us.
Mm,
So yeah, perhaps it's a good start to mention these three, and then I would stop
mm.
and see where do you take the conversation next?
Yeah, it seems like it's like really deeply relaxing into the unknown.
Mm,
And because of all I perceive nowadays more chaotic, more like it's variety of different things that are paying our attention, and it's really deeply, deeply to connect first with myself, and then, like you said, be aware and trust myself to stand in this unknown. And body is very intelligent tool. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And can do a lot. What do you think is leaders in nowadays are missing, are in their leading? You work a lot with the leaders. Your speciality is like you mentioned, working with men and also women in a leadership, dealing with their fears, with their emotions, with their uncertainty. What do you perceive? What do you think they are missing nowadays in the leadership roles?
I will reframe this word of missing. I think it's there. It's not missing. It's just perhaps not brought into focus.
Maybe what they don't see.
Every day. Yeah. So that's what they and us and myself, because I'm one of us. Yeah. Don't see or don't remember. And it's coming back more and more, remembering the power of our biology. So technology is a key focus for many, and with a good reason, and with at least some good contribution to life on this planet. And there's a lot of fear at the same time. There's a lot of skepticism about technology, and some people wish that this planet is or will be taken over by technology. And in my perspective, this will not happen because the biology is native to this planet, and the biology is meant to to take evolution further, and we are part of biology. And I like to see myself and every human being as a very complex bio-spiritual computer, very complex, and at the same time with simple rules of operation. Because the complexity is the potentiality, the complexity is what is not seen. Like, I cannot run consciously my body the way the body runs itself. I cannot do it from my conscious mind. It's not designed for that. So I see a combination between the conscious mind directing in a simple and precise way the life that powers this bio-spiritual computer, which is so complex. So remembering that we are an amazing being, very powerful, and with more and more so-called superpowers that are being revealed and developed and unleashed. And that's normal. And we are evolving as well. So it's not only technology evolving, but nature is upgrading us, perhaps every single day, but there are also different leaps. You can call them quantum leaps that the body is making. The DNA, the nervous system, every single cell. So that's part of it, like remembering. And those of us who are leading different communities, organizations, businesses, families, and our lives, I think the key aspect is to reconnect to the biology and then reconnect to life around us, to nature. In my experience, nature is the one deciding which part of my abilities my unique capacities, skills are being activated in a certain moment, certain place, with certain people. So when these three meet, like certain place, certain moment in time, and a certain group of people, then in my experience, something can really evolve like a quantum leap. And often in my experience, this happens in nature. It can be around trees, mountains, waters, lakes. The water is a planetary connector, is a planetary carrier of consciousness. Um, so the water connects all the cells in our body and all human and all beings on this planet. Um, so the more we are connected and remembering how it is to live connected with the rest of the ecosystem, rest of the biology, I think the more simple and the more harmonious the life is. Um, yeah, so I think these two elements are key: how to use the biology, how to connect to ourselves as a complex biosystems, how to connect to the wider biosystem of the planet, and and then how to go beyond what we learned so far. So how to embrace the unknown that we spoken earlier about, how to try new solutions, how to create new solutions. Um, how to listen more, how to stay in silence more, how to use natural technologies like the sound, for example, the coherence of the heart and brain together, instead of only looking for solutions outside and relying on technology, which is unnatural and artificial.
Mhm. So biology with technology in a way.
And biology showing the way.
Yeah, don't
So,
forget biology. And I love the
yeah.
word biospiritual that you
Mhm.
that you mentioned. I really, really remember this year when we met and I had an opportunity to go with you on this big mountain in Romania.
Mhm.
Uh, it was very great uh, trip and also with a meaning because that's a lot of this leadership energy in this mountain. We were able going there 4 men, and I still remember how we were connecting and remembering actually this from the nature like you are mentioning. So it was for me a great experience to actually hear what nature is telling me and telling us about the leadership role, what messages the nature and this mountain was bringing. And yeah, my question is why you are doing all of this? What is the reason and what is the yeah, why are you doing this leadership, empowerment and conflict transformation and better relationship in especially in this field of leading and being aware of to be a power to be something that it's actually guiding us. What is your reason? Why are you doing this?
Mm. It's like asking a bird why does it sing
and fly.
and fly. Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
So it's just your
And that,
state of being.
yeah,
It's just something in you.
yeah, yeah. It's something that feels natural and normal and alive, and people around me are inviting me and calling me to to be there, to be present, to contribute to different spaces, to facilitate different processes. Um, and apparently, I can contribute in this way. And apparently, one of my gifts is to bring people together to create opportunities and spaces of connections and connect networks and connect hubs and physically and also in terms of relationships and communities.
Mm.
So it's simply following this and discovering what is my unique song to be sang.
Mm.
If I go back to the birds, what is my unique tonality, melody, rhythm, contribution, and where and how can I fit in?
Mm.
Um, and I always found myself pioneering, opening different new ideas, organizations, or stages of evolution in different organizations. So being among the first people or the first teams to do something new, and also easily connecting different fields, either of fields of work, fields of um, social organization, groups of people, being able to translate different languages, translate the language of emotion, the language of energy, the language of sound and music. I'm also passionate about music and creating a lot of music and playing with sound and silence. Um, so yeah, all of this connecting, interconnecting worlds, fields, um, spheres of life, and translating languages, seeing how everything and everyone has its own place on this planet, in this universe. And the problem, or one set of problems, can appear because people, especially people, often think that they are not in their place, or they're really not in their place. They're trying to be someone and something else. And I've known this from my own life.
Mm.
Animals, plants, they never do that. Mountains, lakes, rivers, whatever. They don't imagine they are something else. Humans do that. And that's where conflicts show up. So that's why I thought I was saying before, I don't think it's about something missing. It's about the remembering. It's about opening the heart and the mind and the eyes and knowing, okay, maybe I'm not in my place. I'm not in, okay, what is my place? What is my role? So that I fit perfectly in this harmonious natural ecosystem, which always has the tendency to be in balance
Mm.
and to be in this dynamic balance and always moving, but always tending to be balanced.
So it's very pragmatic. I see this approach, quantum leadership approach as I see it, because normally the the old paradigm was to set a goal, have a vision, and just run, just go, do certain actions, strategies, to get to that goal. But it seems that quantum leadership is more of a observation and adopting resiliently to what is coming. Because especially in this unstable situation, and when we deal actually all the time with the conflicts within ourselves and outside us, it's some kind of observing what the market is bringing, what the people around us are giving us or bringing, recognizing in the team who is how, like in what mood people are, where are they in performance, are they exhausted or not, are they emotionally good or not. So it's actually dealing with all this and adopting through the life and to the business. And it's such a, like you are saying, it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a interesting and such a beautiful process to actually, at one point when I realized that I'm switching this paradigm to the new, and I'm becoming the observer of the life and the business and of this unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting thing what happens in that we are really human being, and body is so resilient and so beautifully created that actually when this turn happens, I saw myself being in the state where I could easily adopt to this and just travel, just do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. In the program uh, that we are preparing, leadership, quantum leadership, what would you say? First, I would say why this approach and this program attracted me, and also why I wanted to do it with you, is because it's based on the experience. And a lot of people have a lot of beliefs that come from the belief system, but
Mm-hmm.
actually the experience is the something that when we experience something we don't believe anymore, but we know, because experience is bringing the knowledge that we can like reactivate again and remember again, like you said. So that
Mm-hmm.
was my key objectives to start this project with you. And what would you say would be this main outcomes or of the program? Yeah, what why leadership leaders should or would get out of the program, stepping into that process and experience?
Mm-hmm.
I would not say what they expect, what can they expect, because
Mm-hmm.
expectation is really sometimes not so healthy thing to do. But what was your experience entering the leadership? What was your outcome? Let's say like this. It's even more better,
Mm-hmm.
not to give people some kind of expectations or illusions,
Mm-hmm.
but be very direct.
I can combine both sides of your question,
I
and
knew it.
I'm very I'm very clear to people I work with. very straight, saying that I cannot promise behavior changes in their teams or in their actions. Or some people come and say, well, I want to change this behavior, this attitude. And that takes time, that takes constant work. So that is something that people have to do themselves to stay on the path and to do constant actions that would yeah, it can take weeks and even months, perhaps years sometimes, for some of the actions, some of the deep changes. So one that being said, I create spaces of reconnection and remembering and learning as well. But not learning as I'm coming and teaching some things. I'm creating the opportunity by bringing some tools, bringing some of my own stories, by being able to feel where are the people in the room in terms of their emotions, their minds, their beliefs, their attitudes, their reactions,
Mhm.
and challenging that, but in a kind and also firm way. So challenging, not pushing, but challenging, inviting people. So it's an open invitation to to look at this perspective and at that perspective. So they remember and they decide themselves. At that very moment, there is an inner decision. All right, I can feel this. I can feel this. This is the direction.
Mm.
So I'm never pushing for a direction. I'm never yeah, I'm not saying, yeah, well, no, this is the way. I know it. I'm teaching you something. I'm asking questions, creating the context, bringing some tools, inviting people and challenging in a constructive way to open up to new questions and perspectives. And so they remember and they feel it. So it's a feeling based experience.
Mhm.
But again, not in an emotional way of feeling or feeling vulnerable, or it's not in that way, but it's a more deep and complex type of, I just feel this is true for me.
Mm.
That involves the entire body, involves the mind, involves the emotions, involves the energy that is unique to each individual and to each team. Yeah, so basically reading the whole room, the whole group of people, reading their emotions, their energies, also their intellectual wishes and capacities and strategies and plans of action. That's also quite important in the process. Putting everything together in a way that makes sense and coming up with 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, but not the 3 magical steps that would make, things shift. But
Oh.
let's say the most important 3 things for that team, that group of people, or that particular leader, the most important three things that uh, may deserve focus in the next, let's say, 3 months. So that there's also a concrete action, something that will sustain the deep intuitive feeling that happens, and perhaps also sometimes revelations, because it's very common in these conversations and programs and sessions and workshops, people to have aha moments and to see things in a different way. So it's reframing, reshaping, remembering, um, and learning from themselves. This is how, yeah, I like,
So much powerful.
yeah, learning from themselves, learning from,
Mm.
okay, how do you see this? Do you want to continue this way? Do you want to go this way? Where do you want to go from here?
Mm.
Knowing, realizing this. And what is important for me is to, as much as I can, to have this attitude of, I look at these people as nothing is missing. I'm not coming to fix. I'm not coming to solve. I'm not coming to save. I did this so many years, like
Advice,
saving people from their
reflect. Yeah.
conflicts, and but then
That's so pleasing.
yeah, but then
Yeah, got you.
saving myself was the only thing I could do.
Yeah.
Um, so no saving, no fixing, and so on.
And
But
then, yeah,
being present, walking along with people in the process,
exactly.
um, yeah, and
That
being
that
there,
that's so beautiful.
yeah.
That's so beautiful. I remember now where we met, and it was on a training of. Actually, we were training how to be the real self, like stand in the truth, like you
Mm,
mentioned. And I perceive in today leadership, and especially in the relationships, it's one of the major challenges I can say is people standing in their truth.
mhm,
So simply meaning if I feel bad, I feel bad. If I if I don't feel competent for something, I say that I don't I don't know how to do that. Like you said today, I don't know.
mhm,
Not just making up and using a lot of words and a lot of energy. So it's really base is one of the things in this quantum leadership standing in my own truth
mhm.
that I'm learning, and it's really really powerful. And I can see how many spaces then open when we are able to stand in this at the beginning very unknown, because it's very unknown. We forgot how to be very very truthful,
Mhm.
because children have this engraved. They don't lie, they are completely honest. They say, I don't like you,
Yeah.
I don't like this, I'm hungry, I'm happy. So they express, and then a certain point happens that we forget
Mhm.
everything about it. And like you say, most of the reason is we save ourselves. I'm trying to save myself. This is why I'm saying things that I don't mean. It's not coming from my truth, and
Mhm.
it can be a really big mess. And it's really this frequency of coming back together to my own truth and standing there and being able to communicate and feel good in my own truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that it's a release. It's also a release after this conversation. What like would you like to add something to that?
This brings me a big smile because the youngest of my three daughters, um, she has a very simple way of making clear if she likes or doesn't like someone or something, even from us as parents and from her sisters. So she goes like, "Nah." First, when she started doing that, we were confused. I think, trying to talk to her, like, okay, what is your need? And she kept doing it, "Nah." And we learned to accept that. And she did it. She's doing it a few times. And we know it's an extreme way of communicating. I just, just leave me alone.
Mm,
Just leave me alone. None of you, I don't want any of you around me. And it's now it's funny. Now we are all smiling and laughing and leaving her alone and needing her own space. And it's her way. And coming back to how to engage in conflicts in our teams, our families, our communities gracefully instead of running, to accept things like this, like nah, or like humor, like but not running with humor, but staying with humor. So all these sounds, all these noises that may strange, all these different positions, accepting them as a language of saying, and this is what my youngest daughter is doing. Through that noise and that sound and that position, she's saying, um, I want to be left alone and I want to stay here with you.
Mm,
So I'm not running away. Just
mm,
imagine this in meeting rooms in organizations across the world, or if people would feel free to say and breathe and just because that may be one way in which their nervous system is
exactly.
decompressing, is relaxing. Ah,
Mm,
making sounds. I'm playing a lot with sounds and with music and dancing. And just imagine any team before important meetings breathing or dancing together for 3 minutes, or making
mm.
this. Ah.
And
So
being able to express
exactly.
because
So the nervous system
yeah,
just decompresses, lets things out, and that's it.
exactly.
And
Because
tension doesn't accumulate.
yeah,
And it's as simple as that.
because
Expanding our language
yeah, because
of being,
I believe,
yeah.
not only believe, but I know because I have experience with myself when I'm not expressing with or
Mm,
like you said with something,
mhm.
but I'm keeping inside myself
Yeah,
also the big ideas, the tasks, the goals, the visions are not expressing. So it's some kind of energy incubated somewhere in
yeah,
this silence and repression.
hmm,
So basically, this
yeah,
or saying I don't know,
yeah,
or being really connected to myself and be truthful to myself, it's kind of a training for me for the big things,
yeah,
for the relationships, for everything what is outside.
hmm.
So
So
it's
yeah,
really amazing.
no self-censorship, and
Yeah, yeah. And of course, I'm failing. I'm failing. Sometimes I see myself, I say something which is not true. And now I have this mechanism that I correct myself and or even if I don't admit, I say, okay, look, I can do it better next time.
mhm.
I'm more of a kind to myself.
That's very important. And I learned that especially doing what we call uh, inner work with men groups, men circles, in men circles. Very
Mm,
important um, to say, and that's why I'm often saying that I'm doing this the best I can right now.
exactly.
I'm doing this to the best of my abilities right now, and that's sufficient. That's enough.
That's the most kindest thing I can do to myself.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
enough. There
yeah,
is no other external standard
yeah.
or in internal standard. And yeah, tomorrow we'll see. But today, it's enough to do the best I can.
We did the best we could this
We surely
conversation.
did.
I feel blessing. I feel complete.
Mm.
What would be your, let's say, one thing or to the finish that you would like to communicate to, you would like to say? regarding our conversation today.
Hmm. I think and I feel that this is a beginning, and it's not only for the two of us, for many others. So perhaps this conversation will expand to many more people, um, inviting us as human beings to explore together this space with uncertainty, with sometimes what can be called fertile chaos, um, with simplicity, with precision, also connecting to this amazing web of life that we are part of. Um, and knowing that this has also very pragmatic aspects, actions in our daily life. How we run our families, businesses, communities, and how do we as leaders, how do we follow as leaders? Because this is an important element that we didn't touch perhaps in the next in a future conversation.
Mm.
A quantum leader can be seen as someone who leads by following.
Mm.
So quantum leader doesn't compete with other leaders. That's not the
Yeah.
point. But cooperates and leads by following. Following what? Following the call and the intuition of nature, of its own nature, his or her own nature, and then broader nature.
True.
So it's an invitation to explore, all this space of um, what what other type of humanity and of life on this planet is possible,
Mm.
and looking ahead for many generations to come, um, with very pragmatic hope and capacity of dreaming
Mm.
a future that it is about biology guiding the technology,
Mm.
not the other way around. And the vision and a future where we can live a life that it is abundant, and brings prosperity and brings development, of life in a way that we cannot even imagine and dream.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much, Sabine, for this beautiful conversation and very fruitful conversation. It gave me a lot of insights to quantum leadership work, to conflict transformation work, to communication, relationships. And I'm looking forward to have you as a guest
Mm.
in the future. What would be your word to check out from this conversation?
Mm. Urosh, a big thank you. Yeah, big gratitude and blessing for um, your your way of connecting, for this conversation, for what you do, for who you are. And it is a joy and a privilege to have this conversation, to explore all of this together. I'm really looking forward to see you in a few weeks in Slovenia,
In Slovenia, yeah.
and to create a space, a workshop, a meeting
Yeah.
with like-minded people or people who are curious about this field to share from who we are, from our experiences, and yeah, to be able to support their organizations, their communities in this way.
Looking forward to see you soon.
Yeah. So thank you, and the journey continues.
Journey continues. Thank
Mm.
you.